LaTisha Scott, and now that she has finally spoken, everything feels different. The questions that were quietly building over the last few months are no longer whispers. They are loud, clear, and impossible to ignore. What happened to the show? Why did the energy change? And why did the cast disappear from social media like the lights in Huntsville suddenly dimmed? Stay with me until the end, because as we go deeper into LaTisha's words, the hidden truth behind the break will become more clear, and you will see what really pushed this show to the edge. LaTisha Scott, usually calm, careful, and very strategic with her words, reached a breaking point. After holding so much in for so long, she finally released what fans have been waiting to hear. She talked about hurt, pressure, confusion, and frustration. She spoke in a way that felt honest and heavy. It was not a moment for drama or shade. It was not loud or dramatic. It was the kind of truth that comes from someone tired of being quiet. And as she spoke, you could feel the emotion. You could feel the weight. And more than anything, you could tell this wasn't about storylines anymore. This was real life. From the beginning, Love and Marriage Huntsville promised to be different. It wasn't meant to be a show about just arguments and chaos. It started as a show about Black couples building businesses, building families, and building legacy. It made viewers proud. The cast, LaTisha and Marsau Scott, Melody Shari and Martel Holt, Marie Scott and Kimmy Scott, they all looked strong, united, and focused. They were a part of something special, something that inspired people. But somewhere along the way, the light changed. The tone became darker, the story shifted. And LaTisha hinted that it was not by accident. In her emotional moment, LaTisha explained that the cast was ready to film, ready to work, and ready to continue the story. But communication stopped. Planning stopped. And the support from the network and production team changed. She said they did not even know what was going on most of the time. Imagine trying to keep fans excited when you yourself don't know if you are filming a new season or simply waiting for someone to call you. That kind of confusion is not just stressful, it is painful, especially for people trying to protect their reputation and their families. LaTisha also opened up about how hard it was dealing with negativity and rumors, especially when the cameras pushed more drama than growth. She shared how she wanted to talk about real-life victories, real business moves, and real marriage strength, but the show kept getting dragged into personal problems and rumors. She said there were times she felt like the cast was used more for conflict than for inspiration. And when she described feeling tired of constantly defending her marriage to Marsau Scott while outside voices added pressure, it hit deep. You could tell she was speaking as a wife, a mother, and a woman who felt misunderstood more than once. The pressure didn't only fall on LaTisha. The entire cast felt the weight. Melody Shari went through a public divorce. Martel Holt was criticized and dragged on social media non-stop. Marie Scott tried to hold his home together while Kimmy Scott fought through the hardest health challenges anyone could imagine. And behind every scene, behind every argument, there were children, families, and real emotions. When LaTisha said, "We are human, we have kids watching," it was a reminder that reality TV is real for the people living it, and sometimes the world forgets that. She also talked about how hard it was to stay silent while people online assumed the worst. Fans thought the cast was refusing to film. They thought relationships were broken beyond repair. They thought the show was falling apart because the cast didn't care. But according to LaTisha, that was not the truth. She said they were ready, but something else behind the scenes was holding everything back. That kind of statement doesn't come lightly. It means the break wasn't caused by cast drama alone. It means there were deeper problems that viewers never saw. And then came the part that made fans sit up straight. The moment she hinted that OW itself may have been stepping back. She didn't say it loudly. She didn't accuse directly. But when she said the network stopped supporting the show the way they used to, that gave a different kind of shock. Because if the network pulls back, there is only one direction a show can go: down. But before you think you've heard the whole truth, don't move. Stay here. Because LaTisha's emotional release was not just about frustration. It was also about a request. A request for the show to return to what it was meant to be. A request for respect. A request for fairness. and a request to protect the legacy they worked so hard to build. This story is far from over, and the next part will take us deeper into the emotional toll this journey took on each cast member and how LaTisha's words may change the future of Huntsville forever. So stay right here, don't leave, because what comes next will open your eyes even more. And in that moment, the room shifted. No shouting, no finger pointing, just a quiet truth hanging in the air, heavy enough to make everyone sit still. Because sometimes the most powerful moments aren't loud. They're the ones where someone simply says, "I don't feel seen." And the silence that follows says everything no one knew how to answer. Kimmy wasn't attacking. She wasn't blaming. She was revealing. And anyone who has ever carried strength for too long recognized that tone. It was the voice of someone who had been holding everything together while quietly hoping someone would notice the weight she never put down. Maurice listened, and whether he fully understood in that moment or was still processing, it was clear this wasn't a conversation about who was right. It was about what had been lost along the way. Connection, understanding, presence. The simple act of sitting next to the person you love and saying, "I see you. I'm here." Relationships don't fall apart in dramatic explosions. They fray in silence. Small moments when support is needed but goes unspoken, and comfort is needed but isn't offered because life keeps moving and people assume strength means you don't need softness. Kimmy once said she didn't want to be the strong one all the time. She wanted to be allowed to lean. And in this scene, her words weren't about blame. They were a reminder. Strong people need rest too. The ones who keep everything steady often feel the cracks first, and when they finally speak, it isn't weakness, it's courage. Maurice didn't interrupt. He didn't rush to defend. He heard her. And maybe that was the beginning of something they hadn't had in a long time. Not an argument, but a real conversation. A moment where vulnerability wasn't treated like a problem to fix, but a truth to sit with. Because healing doesn't start with answers. It begins with understanding. And sometimes with two people quietly realizing that love can still exist, even if support hasn't always been felt. But rebuilding requires seeing each other again, not just sharing a life, but sharing the burden. As the cameras kept rolling, the world watched two people who had weathered so much: illness, public scrutiny, family demands, expectations. And yet here they were, facing the most difficult part of a relationship, learning how to show up not as who they've been, but who they need to become. And in that stillness, something shifted. Not an ending, but a moment of truth that could be the beginning of something new, if the wounds spoken aloud were met with understanding, patience, and change, not defensiveness. Sometimes the real strength isn't surviving the storm. It's standing in the quiet after, acknowledging what hurt, and choosing to repair instead of retreat.